Hi guys, this is Aaron Kodia here. I just wanted to speak to you. It's about 3 a.m. At the minute, and I just really can't sleep because I've got so many things going on in my mind. The whole issue is as many of you know about the death of my son, Remy. There are so many things going on, in my mind, and it's really hard. And the only way I do things, the only way I try to get things off my head is, to do these videos. So, thank you guys for having the time to watch my videos. But what I want to talk about in this video, I just want to ask you a question. That how will you feel, if you and your partner are expecting a child, like a baby, and everything is fine, and the last day you're expecting a child, you go to the hospital, and the hospital tells you to wait for them to bring your child and your missus. And you sit there and wait, and then they just walk in and tell you that, oh, we are so sorry, we couldn't save your son. How will you feel? Everything was fine with my son Remy throughout the whole pregnancy, and actually we had about 12 scans. We had about 12 pregnancy scans, reassurance scans, and even when he's not moving, we just go and have a look, and check and everything. So everything was fine, and he was even 1 day overdue. So we tried to buy everything that we could for him, and we were so excited that he was coming, So what happened was that the last day that we went there, he was even 1 day overdue. So everything was fine with him, and the last day the doctor scanned and then saw that his heart beating was up, normal and everything. So when my missus' water broke, they asked her to start pushing and things like that, and they noticed some blood coming out. So what they said was that, oh, it's normal, it's natural for women to bleed when they are having a baby. So I was just stood there, and everyone was just stood there. All the midwives were all stood around there just waiting, and they realized that the blood that was coming out was a bit lighter than normal. So it was just a bit of decision making, really, for them to not think whether they have to rush her to the surgery for emergency C-section, or it just like they didn't know what to do, really, because they didn't know what's happening. To cut matters short, they rushed her to the theater and then did a cesarean session. My son came out, and for what they told us, he was breathing, like he was okay. He had heartbeat and everything. And before they took my missus to the theater, they asked me to go and wait in a room, and they will bring my missus and my son to me. So I was in this room by myself. They wouldn't allow anyone in except myself. So I was just waiting and waiting and waiting. It felt like forever. But I was waiting and waiting. And whilst I was stood there, I was just bouncing up and down. I didn't know what to do. I was just stood there, and two nurses just came and banged the door, closed the door. They closed my door where I was waiting, and I didn't know what was happening. I was just like, what's going on? And I could see shadows from outside the door, because it was a bit transparent, and I could see about I could just count in my head about like many doctors, about 10, 20, running through the corridor, and no one was telling me what was going on. So I was stood there panicking. I just didn't know what was going on. All I needed was information for me to know what was going on, what was happening. Are they both okay? But I didn't get anyone to tell me that. But I knew something was wrong. But I was just locked in that room, just start waiting. And it was like an hour time before they opened the door. But before that, a nurse came and told me that she didn't know what was going on, but she know that they are working on my son, my message. So that's, that's all she knows. She can't tell me more. So she went back, and later on, whilst I was in the room, I didn't know what was going on. In an hour's time, I saw four or five midwives and some doctors walking in. And as I saw them walking in, they started, going around me. And then one of them was just coming towards me. And I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "We are sorry we couldn't save your son." And I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Is everyone okay? Is my missus okay? Is my son okay? What's going on?" They said, "We are sorry we couldn't save your son." So that's what they told me, and I didn't know what happened after then. It was all blank. And this is me having to tell my missus, who was about to come off. She was still sleeping through the anesthetic that she went through. So I have to tell my missus that, our son didn't make it. How was I going to do that? But finally, that was the whole thing. We lost our son, and it's sad. But there's a whole lot of things going on. There's a whole lot of things going on, and the coroner, wasn't happy about certain issues about how my son, our son died. So the coroner is having an investigation, so we just waited for about 3 to 6 months to know what's going to happen. But after that, we had a meeting with a consultant, and the main reason why I'm doing this video is we had a meeting with a consultant, and she basically explained to us that as a hospital, what they did everything according to the book. So they are not to blame. It escaped them, and they realized that it was a condition called Vasa Previa, which is it's a situation where some ligaments from the umbilical cord is connected to the placenta. So in this case, the umbilical cord and those ligaments were under my son's head, and it was lying under, the cervix. So whilst his head was coming down, it tore through those ligaments that's lying down there. So when my missus was bleeding out, they thought that it was my missus that was bleeding, but actually it was my son that was bleeding out. But what the nurses, the consultant told us that they didn't know that was the issue, so it escaped them. and they are so sorry for our loss. But it was a shock to them that they didn't know that it was Vasa Previa. However, this Vasa Previa, she told me that it can be detected, like, it can be scanned with a color Doppler or a color scan. And if they do a color scan, they'll be able to know if someone will have a Vasa Previa condition or whatever. But what she's trying to tell us is that the government doesn't think that, or according to the government research and everything, the government has come to a conclusion that the number of children or the number of babies that are dying through this rare condition called Vasa Previa is not many. That is not many. There are not many children dying, but the statistic that she gave me was 1 in 1,200. So 1 in 1,200 babies will die through this rare condition that we didn't even know about it, but they know about it. But now it's not their fault. So they say that it's not their fault, that it was just a mistake that happened. The baby was fine, but it was a mistake that happened. So, but the government is not willing to fund because the number of babies dying are not enough. And the only way that they can recommend a woman or a pregnant woman for that scan is when they are considered as a high risk. And when they consider a woman as a high risk, that is when they've lost 2 or more babies. That is exactly what the consultant told me and my missus. So honestly, I just went off and I just said, I asked her that, excuse me, are you trying to tell me that before they can scan someone, before they can give that a pregnant woman that scan to avoid what happened to us, she needs to lose 2 or more babies before they can be classed as a higher risk? And that's what she said. So the hardest part is the same hospital is now classing my missus as a higher risk because of all this loss. I just can't believe it. And the same hospital says that when my missus gets pregnant again, they are going to scan her for that condition. So my question was, why didn't they give her that scan throughout the whole 12 scans that we had? Or my main question is, why don't they include that scan in every pregnant woman's scan in the whole nation? Why should a woman lose 2 or more babies before they can have that scan, which takes about 5-10 minutes? I really don't, I just don't get it.